So to get started on this hat, you want to have 212 yards of your main color. So for this, I'm going to be using Caron Simply Soft in Melon to match Toulouse's fur coat. And you can use any color. This hat can be either male or female. It just depends on coloring. And then I'm also going to be adding a blue trim to match his bow tie. Then you'll need hook size H or 8 or size to obtain the gauge listed in the description box below with the full written instructions. And you'll also be needing a stitch marker. So for my hat, I'm going to go with this hat starts at the crown and works down to the brim. I'm going to start off my crown with the first row in blue, and then periodically throughout the pattern I'm going to be putting a blue stripe. So you can either follow this or make up your own or go with just one color. So you want to just leave a small tail, enough to weave in later. And we're going to create a slip knot. Then we're going to chain 4. And then we're going to slip stitch to the first chain to form a ring. So now we have the ring to start the top of our hat. So now you want to take your stitch marker and you're just going to place it on this very loop right here, the one stitch under the one on your hook, to mark the beginning of our row. So this one is worked in continuous rounds. So next up we want to work 6 single crochets in our ring. So you're just going to insert your hook in the very center of our ring and work 6 single crochets. Going back in the center of the ring to pull up our second loop. So then for round 2, we're going to work 2 single crochets in every stitch, which will take our count to 12 stitches. So you're just going to move to your first stitch right here and work 2 stitches. So we're just going to pull up our loop, and that's 1. Go back through the same opening, pull up a loop, that's 2, and repeat that in every stitch. Once you've worked an increase in every stitch and you have 12 stitches now, we're going to work our next increase, so it'll be row 3, and we're going to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch. One, 2, and then we're going to do a single crochet in the next one. Then we're going to repeat that around, which will take our count to 18. So you want to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then a single crochet in the next stitch. And repeat all the way around. So once you've worked your round, row 4, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So we're just going to work a plain single crochet in our next stitch and work another single crochet. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around, which will take our count to 24. So you want to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Then work a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And repeat around. So once you have 24 stitches, now we're going to work round 5. And we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And you're going to repeat that around, and that'll take our count to 30. Round 6, you're going to start off with 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then single crochet in the next 4 stitches. And then you're going to repeat that all the way around, and that'll take our count to 36 stitches. For round 7, you're going to start off with 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Then you're going to work a single crochet in the next 5 stitches. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around, taking our count to 42. For round 8, you're going to begin with 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Then you're going to work a single crochet in the next 6 stitches. Then you're going to repeat that, and that'll take our count to 48 stitches. For row 9, we're going to start off by chaining 3. Then we're going to do a double crochet in that same space. Then we're going to double crochet in the next 7 stitches. And then after that, you're going to start a repeat, and you're going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So work your first double crochet, and then we're going to work a second one in that same stitch. And then we're going to work a double crochet in the next 7 stitches. You're just going to repeat that around, and that'll take our count to 54 stitches. So once you've made it all the way around, this is where I'm going to be changing to our orange color. So when you have your final double crochet to work, you're just going to work it like normal, but you're not going to finish the stitch. So you're just going to pull up your loops. Now you have your 3, and you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Leave the last 2 here, and we're going to let go of our blue, and we're going to add in our yellow. So with your two loops on your hook, you're just going to start using, you're going to leave a tail in the back, hold it with your fingers, and start using the orange as our yarn. So we need to finish our double crochet, so we're just going to yarn over and pull through our last 2 loops. And now we've completed our round. So then once we've completed our row, we're going to move on to row 10, and we're going to single crochet 2 in the next stitch. So right here where we have our chain 3 from the previous row, we're going to insert our needle into there, and we're going to work 2 single crochets with our orange. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. Then you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and this will take our count to 60 stitches. So now you've finished your first round with your new color, and I think these 2 colors together look really nice. So now it's time for row 11. So you want to start off with 2 single crochets in your next stitch. And then we're going to work a single crochet in the next 9 stitches. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and this will take our count up to 66. For row 12, you're going to start off with 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Then you're going to work a single crochet in the next 10 stitches. Then you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and this is going to take our count to 72. For row 13, you're going to start with 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then you're going to work a single crochet in the next 11 stitches. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and that's going to take our count up to 78 stitches. The next row I'm going to do is going to be switching back to the blue. So before I complete my single crochet, I'm going to leave a small tail of blue in the back, drop my orange, and begin working the blue as my main yarn. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull through to finish off this last single crochet. So now we're going to weave in our end as we crochet across. So we're just going to leave a small tail of orange and cut it. So you're going to bring up your orange and blue tails and hold them in the back across your work. And we're going to crochet them in with our next row. So for row 14, we're going to chain 3. And we're going to do double crochets all around. So our count is still going to stay at 78, and we're just going to work double crochets. So with our 2 tails held here, we're just going to work a double crochet in our next stitch. And you want to work with the tails over so that we can keep them in. See how they're right there over our work, and then we pull our tail yarn right over them, which will help tack them in to our work. That's 1 double crochet made. So we just leave it here, and for at least 6 to 8 stitches we're just going to tie in our tails, and then we can go ahead and cut the remaining. So then in the next stitch we're just going to work another double crochet, pulling in our tail yarn, and continue that around this whole row. So for the next row I'm going to be switching back to orange. So before I complete my final double crochet, while I still have the 2 loops on my hook, I'm going to cut the blue yarn and start working with the orange, finishing off my double crochet, pulling lightly on the tails. So now for rows 15 through 18, you're just going to do a plain single crochet round. So you're just going to move on to your next stitch. So just insert at the top of your chain 3 and work your first single crochet. And just like before, we're going to also weave in our ends at the same time, so just keep them up at the top while working your single crochets so that we can pull them into our work and weave them in at the same time we're working our rounds. So from here, you're just going to repeat rounds 14 through 18 2 more times. And every time you repeat row 14, you're going to switch over to the blue when you do the double crochet. So once you've done your repeat, I decided for this double crochet row I was going to stick with the orange. So this is what your hat looks like right now. So now for our final row, I'm going to switch back to the blue. So now for row 29, we're going to work a half double crochet around. So you want to yarn over, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, and then draw through all 3 loops. And you're just going to work your half double crochet all the way around this row. When you've worked your final half double crochet, we're just going to slip stitch to the first one of this row. Then we're just going to fasten off our yarn by cutting and weaving in any ends that we may have left, and then we'll start working on the brim. So once you have your hat finished off, you're going to fold your hat in half and mark one side as the center front. Then you're going to count 11 stitches this way, 11 stitches this way, 22 in total, and that's going to be your brim on the front of your hat. So now what we're going to do is work in the first stitch marker that would be on our right, and we're going to leave a small tail on the inside, which if you want you can weave it in as you work this row. And we're going to work single crochet in our 22 stitches, but only through the front loop. So you see how we have our double loop here? We're just going to be working it in this first front loop, not both. So then you want to wrap and pull up a stitch, and then you want to work single crochet in our 22 stitches. So you want to go through the front loop of our next stitch, work our single, and when you work in only half the loop, it can seem like your stitches are a bit stretched, but once you complete the row and continue on, they close up. So once you have your 22 brim stitches single crocheted in the front loop, you can remove your stitch markers. And now for row 2, we're going to chain 1, turn our hat, then we're going to single crochet both loops all the way back on our 22 stitches. Once you've worked your 22 brim stitches, here on this left side we're going to single crochet in the next 4 back loops off our hat. So you see your 2 loops here. We're going to go in the back loop, which is technically the front loop on the front of our hat, and we're going to single crochet the next 4 stitches. So that's 1, remember, back loop, 2, 3, and 4. So now that will take our brim count to 26. So now we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to single crochet across our 26 brim stitches. In both loops, work our single crochet, so once you've worked your 26 single crochets, Now we're going to pick up the next 4 stitches through the front loop on the base of our hat. So just through the front loop here, we're going to work single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So now our brim count is 30 stitches. So we're going to chain 1, turn our hat, then we're going to work single crochet in our 30 stitches. Once you've worked your 30 brim stitches, now we're going to pick up 1 stitch on our hat through the back loop. So for this, we're going to pick up the back loop here and single crochet 1 stitch. So now we have 31 stitches. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So now we're just going to work single crochet all the way across our 31 brim stitches. Once you've completed all your brim stitches, now we're going to single crochet 1 from the front loop here at the base of our hat. So now that takes our count to 32. So now we're just, for rows 6 and 7, we're going to repeat the same process. We're going to chain 1, turn, work single crochet across, pick up 1 stitch from our base hat through the back loop, chain 1, work all our way back, and pick up 1 stitch through the front loop till we have 34 stitches in total. So once you've completed and made it to 34 stitches in your brim, then you're just going to finish off and turn it now to the inside. And we're going to start doing the brim all over again, but on the reverse side. So the first 22 stitches that we worked, and you can kind of tell where they're at if you can see. See how these stick out a little bit more than these right here? These are part of the 22, and these are the ones we picked up later on in the rows. So once you've got your 34 stitches on your second brim, you're just going to cut your tail, and you can leave a longer end so that we can use that to sew it up. And if you want a stiffer brim, you could get a stiff interfacing, a piece of cardboard, and use this as your template and cut a piece to fit in between our pieces here. Then we're just going to thread this yarn onto our needle, and we're going to stitch these together. So you're just going to take the outer stitch on this side and just go back and forth like this until you have your brim together. And then your hat is finished. Now my hat turned out a little tighter than I was expecting, so I would either go up a couple hook size next time or do another increase row. So you can do your testing and see which one works best for you, but I think this hat looks pretty cute. Make sure to be creative, and this is either male or female hat depending on the colors. I hope you enjoy. If you make this, please send me photos, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.